Hello and welcome to episode 221 of First Geek 411. This week, we're getting spooky as we kick off fall. Joining me, as always, from the Great White North, Shanine. How are you doing?
Doing good. So ready for spooks.
And with us from West Coast, Best Coast, Emma. How are you?
Woo! Doing good. Cannot complain. All the spooks, all the October, all the Halloween.
Before we get into what we have been up to and chatting about fall, notice how I don't say spooks. We're just fall. Um, you can find us on our social media as OneGeek411. You can also find us in our Discord server, and you can shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. You can watch live Monday nights on twitch.tv/OneGeek411 at 6:45 Mountain Time and find the videos over on our YouTube. You can also check out our Redbubble store. Adjusting some audio. Pow, 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 pow. Thank you, Deanna.
Cool.
I'm not used to Shanine being the loud one.
I know, that's really unusual.
Never happens.
Yeah.
No.
Hopefully that's a bit better. So let's get into what we have been up to. Emma, why don't you start us off? There we go.
I got boosted today.
Bow, 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 bow. Have you had any side effects?
Boosters? Not yet. I have a feeling it's gonna hit me tomorrow. I also got my flu shot today, which is also important. So those things happened. My arms are a little sore, which always happens. But yeah. And then I made cornbread yesterday, which was a lot of fun. That's like very fall for me, or Halloween. And I've been listening to audiobooks on the drive to and from school, which is a lot of fun. I just started doing that much more recently, so I've been really enjoying that. Those are like the most interesting things that have happened this week.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Do y'all have much of a fall where you are?
No. I mean, it gets cooler. And by cooler, I mean it like averages out to like 60, 70. So, we don't need the fans blasting at night anymore. But
Cool.
Janine, what have you been up to?
All the spooks. I have now caught up on the Halloween franchise, so I'm all prepped and ready for Halloween Ends next weekend.
nice.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I have, on the whole, really enjoyed this franchise, and I am excited to see how it will end.
Mm-hmm. And apparently there will not be any more. This is the last one.
Never. No
Yeah.
more reboots. It's over.
They definitely are not going to do Halloween Starts Anew or something like that in like 2 years or whatever. But
They already have a Halloween Resurrection, so. But yes. And I watched Nightmare Before Christmas again, and I liked it this time.
That's good.
So,
What changed?
I don't know. I think I'm more into the spooks now, and I'm like, hey, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
The
feel
real
like
question there is it a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie?
I mean, that is the question. I would like to say both.
Yeah, why not? Porque no los dos?
Christmas is spooky too.
I say it's Halloween because Halloween comes first on the calendar, but that's it. Some people would argue it's very much a Christmas movie.
Some would. And I also went shopping at like one of our downtown cute local shop places and got a bunch of spooky books. I got a very pretty Grimm's Fairy Tales. I got Carrie by Stephen King, and I got Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix, which I'm very excited for all of those. And then also, they conveniently had a wine store and a cheese store right nearby. So kind of felt like I was living out my best Ghibli life.
Yeah,
Just
that feels like the dream.
walking down the
Now
street.
you just need a bakery like right in between those. So you
Mm,
can get books, bread, cheese, and wine.
yes. I know there's cafes nearby. Don't remember if there's a bakery. But anyways, and then we had a charcuterie night and it was lovely.
What kind of cheese did you have?
Oh, we had many different cheese. Um, there's one that I like called Red Fox.
I
don't
can't
remember
imagine why
what
you liked
kind
that.
of cheese it is. I believe it or not, I got it purely for the name, and it is actually really delicious though. We got Red Fox. We had some Swiss. We had this one called Glenfiddich and some Brie. And I feel like I'm missing one, but I can't remember what it was.
Deanna got me really into brie. That was like a cheese that like I had not really had a lot of. And then, as she says in chat, I discovered too much cheese, or what too much cheese looks like once. As we had some people over, and she made this awesome charcuterie board for like 6 more people than we had coming over. So we just had a whole bunch of cheese. But yeah, huge fan. And in chat, Deanna says that she wants to come to your book party. And
Yes.
so
So do I.
Yes. The invitation is open.
I'm saying we got passports. Like,
Mine expires next month, and I've been meaning to update it.
Yeah.
But I haven't.
I have not used my current passport because
I have used mine once
Yeah.
in the past 10 years to go to South Africa.
Oh, nice. I got mine renewed so that we could go to Japan in April of 2020. Hey.
Yeah, that did not happen.
So here we are. And so, yeah, so still haven't gotten to break in my new one. But for me, Friday night, I got to play some Magic and played some Commander with some friends through Discord. 2 weeks in a row that we've jammed some Commander games over the weekend. So that's been a blast. And then Saturday, some friends and I hung out. We went to a local brewery and just kind of caught up and chatted. It was always good to see like high school folks. Like a friend that's like kind of out of town drove up, and so we like we had dinner and then like hung out at the brewery, and so that was a lot of fun. One of my friends who is notoriously late was an hour and 15 minutes late on top of us starting 30 minutes later than we had planned.
Wow.
So here we are.
Classic late friends.
Yes. He's
Why
admittedly
you give them an earlier time
right.
than everyone else.
Yeah. Admittedly, he's not usually this late, and this one was like kind of out of his control. Like he was doing something with some other friends, and they drove, and so he was kind of like stranded until they were ready to leave, and so. But still, we give him a hard time. And then over on Cameron Plus Deanna, I have been playing the Gloomhaven digital game. It was free on Epic, and so
How was that?
I've really been enjoying it. It's a bit different than the actual board game. I say that. We played Gloomhaven co-op, or like with 2 people, versus playing it online. I'm playing completely by myself. So there is multiplayer, but I'm not doing that. And so it's very different to like control like 3 to 4 characters, and just kind of be trying to figure out what everyone does when you have like 10 different abilities and 10 different cards, and each card has 2 abilities. Like there'll be times where you're like, oh, I need to do this. How do I use this? And it's like this other card that you used 5 turns ago or something like that. And it's like, oh, well, messed that one up, didn't I? But I've really been enjoying it, and it was free on Epic, I guess last week. And so Also, never going to complain about a free game. So
There you go. You gotta appreciate the free games.
yeah. And then, and I got back into playing some more Yakuza Like a Dragon. My company is now #1 in Japan or in the city or whatever. So go me. I got way too addicted to this one minigame. And so, like, I don't think I was supposed to finish it already, but here we are. So,
Oops.
so yeah, I just kind of spent way too much time doing that minigame. But yeah. Listeners, let us know what you have been up to in the comment section down below or in Twitch chat or over in our Discord. And let us know if you're doing anything cool for fall. If you're doing anything super spooky or super cozy, which brings us into our topic of the show. Today we're going to be doing some this or that and kind of just chatting through some stuff. And then we got some other seasonal based question. Yeah, so before we get into those, Shanine and Emma, are y'all spooky fall or cozy fall?
Oh. I like the spooks and the cozy.
I'm kind of both too. I'm like, I will have my pumpkin scented candle and my pumpkin spiced beverage while watching a horror movie.
Yeah.
If I have to pick one.
Yeah.
I've definitely started using my candles a lot more in the past week or so. Because they make my room smell nice. But also, last night I started figuring out what spooky movies I wanted to watch. Because unlike Cameron, Shanine and I like the scaries.
Yeah.
The spooky, scary skeletons.
Yeah. I like the songs about them because they're goofy. I just, I think somebody's skeleton should stay inside of their body where it belongs. But let's get into some this or that's. So if you are watching on the stream, you can play along with us in chat. And so, yeah, so we got 2 different this or that's. We'll just go line by line, like a this or that works, and answer the questions and then kind of just go through them. And then we'll do our other seasonal based questions. So the first one for you to choose, apple picking or visiting a pumpkin patch.
I mean, I've done both frequently in the same season. I would have to say going to a pumpkin patch because there's generally more activities involved alongside picking pumpkins. Typically there's a little farmer's market type thing, and at least with the pumpkin patches that I've been to, there's corn mazes and other fun stuff on top of getting to pick out a pumpkin. So pumpkin or apple picking, you get apples, but then you take them home and have to eat them, freeze them, put them in pies or whatever. Whereas going to a pumpkin patch, it's a fun little outing.
I'm gonna say visit a pumpkin patch, although I still have not been to one because I don't know if this is just how it is or if it's Canada's weather or something. But they close super early here. So every September I'm gonna go this year, and then I'll look at their Instagram account. They're so last weekend was our last weekend, and I was but how? It's the second week of September.
Yeah.
Am I not supposed to be able to go to a pumpkin patch on Halloween? Is media lying to me?
Yeah.
Or does Canada just suck?
This just in. Canada hates Halloween. For me, I'm also in a visit a pumpkin patch. Kind of for the reasons Emma said, and Deanna called that out in chat. Pumpkin patches sometimes have corn mazes.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's just more to do at a pumpkin patch, and that's part of the fun of it. It's more of like an event. And then also, you don't typically leave a pumpkin patch with more work to do.
Yeah.
So like this is again what Emma was saying. It's like if you pick a bunch of apples, well, congratulations, you now have a bunch of apples that you need to do something with.
Yeah.
So
If you're like my family, like it's kind of fun because you get to make like pies and things and stick those in the freezer. But then it's also like, okay, great, you now have pies for the middle of January.
yes,
I do have to say also, if I didn't mean to cut you
no,
off
you're
there,
good.
Cameron, but shout out to the most popular pumpkin patch in Washington that literally has a corn maze in the shape of Washington State, including wooden structures of notable bridges and other landmarks that everyone goes to because it's such a good corn maze. I just have to say that does indeed exist.
Nice.
So yeah, moving on.
Next, we got pumpkin spice latte or apple cider.
I'm a sucker for apple cider. It's so good.
I do love both, but I gotta go pumpkin spice.
I think for me, in my general life, I prefer pumpkin spice. But I feel like I definitely get like cravings for apple cider. Or like there's like specific memories I have associated with apple cider where I don't really have that with pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
Shout out to the whale tour that we did when we were in Seattle, where they served us like apple cider on the boat.
That's
It was
pretty common.
fantastic. Yes, it was fantastic. And so, yeah. But yeah, just in like day to day, I feel like I go for more pumpkin spice. Apple cider for special occasions, like when the queen visits or the king visits. I guess now you know. And next we got haunted houses or corn mazes.
I honestly don't know with that one because I enjoy them both. But I mean, now I'm just thinking haunted corn mazes.
Haunted corn mazes.
But if I had to pick one, I'd say corn maze.
I don't know. It's gonna depend. Because, like, a corn maze, you go in and you know what to expect. The haunted houses I have been to are really hit and miss. Like, the first one I went to was, like, so scary and so good. And the second one was like, oh, here comes the scare. There it is.
Now it's gone. Bye bye, scare.
Yep. So, if it's a good haunted house, then the haunted house.
To the surprise of literally no one, I'm on Team Corn Maze. Definitely prefer to not have the spooks. A couple years ago, we tried to go to a corn maze, and they switched it like at a certain time. They switched it from like a normal corn maze to a scary corn maze, and we left. Like, it's like, okay, see ya. It was also very
Bye.
crowded, so we like weren't about to wait in line and stuff. But like, but yeah, just not not about that.
Not about that life,
Yeah.
Cameron.
It's just yeah. I think this is on one of the other ones, so I don't want to say this, but it'll come up later. Pumpkin bread or cinnamon buns.
Probably cinnamon buns. But if they're the good homemade cinnamon buns. Because I have always had a minor obsession with cinnamon. By minor, I mean a very big obsession with cinnamon.
No, this is a tough one for me. My grandpa he was a baker, and cinnamon buns were like his specialty, but no cinnamon buns on this world taste like his cinnamon buns. So I have like a hard time eating cinnamon buns now.
He's got
So
too high of a bar.
probably, yeah, pumpkin bread. Unless I can somehow magically have my grandpa's cinnamon buns.
I'll tell Travis to get on it. For me, like especially for fall, I'm on pumpkin bread. I feel like cinnamon buns are those things that you just like have regularly. Like that doesn't feel like a fall thing to me. I was kind of surprised when I saw this one. Like I don't know if other places that's a like regional fall thing, but we kind of just have that all the time. So, Deanna says plot twist: pumpkin cinnamon buns.
I know, I was just laughing
Okay,
at that.
I'm going big brain. I'm in.
Another one of those why not both?
Yeah, you mix them together. Next, we have rainy autumn days or sunny autumn days.
I mean, I'm gonna have to go with rain because I'm from Seattle, and rain always reminds me of home. Plus, it just feels like fall.
I feel like this is also a tough one because, like, you get the sunny days where the leaves are all like in full color and it's just so like beautiful. But I also love the rain. The best is when the sky is super dark because it's about to rain, but there's still a lot of sunlight. So you get like the glorious leaves, but also the dark sky. But rainy if I have to pick one.
I'm on sunny autumn days. I kind of like the. I guess I haven't got into this yet. I feel like for me, like I have a very weird relationship with fall. Of like, I feel like I discovered it late, and I feel like I probably told this story on the podcast before. Of like living in Texas, like we don't really have fall. But then like when I moved to New England and I was in Connecticut, it's like, oh, this is what it's all about. And so like here in Texas, I'm definitely on like team rain because it's still really warm here. And so give us that rainy fall. It'll cool things off. It'll actually make it feel more like the season. But when I was in Connecticut and we had like real fall, it was like the sunny days were always great because you could actually like go out, be in the fall, like be out and about and do things without having like pre-winter stuff. Which I was always like underdressed for because I'm from Texas and I'm used to it not being cold until after like January. So I've been hurt before. Next we got horror movies or Nope, can't do them. To the surprise of no one, I am in Nope, can't do them.
Definitely more pro horror movies, but in like moderation. With the lights on. I enjoy them, but with the lights on.
Yeah, I do love horror movies. I feel like I have to watch them with the lights out because it's all about the mood. But then if they're too scary, I do get scared. So
If it's like one of the older movies, like
yeah,
original Halloween or,
I was good with
whatever,
all
that
of
is
the Halloween
great.
movies actually, but the more like ghosty ones
Yeah.
freak me out.
When it gets to the newer stuff with the CGI that's really believable, then I'm like, okay, I might just turn my lamp on now.
I don't know anything about that. I'm super confused by this whole vibe. And so next we got cozy sweaters or flannels.
I mean, flannels are a part of my everyday outfit, so I'm kind of required to pick flannels.
It's not a fall thing, it's a life thing for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It really is.
I feel like both of these things are life things for me. As a Canadian, I feel a little bit obligated to say flannels, but I do love a good cozy sweater. And I have so many sweaters that I'm excited for fall to finally get to wear. They have
Yay.
foxes on them.
I'm on Team Cozy Sweaters. I feel like, again, I came to appreciate sweaters when I was in New England. And yeah, they are just amazingly cozy. And then they're also like perfect for wherever you go. Like, you need to look professional, put on a sweater. You need to look casual, put on a sweater. Like, it's perfect. Next, we got go on a forest walk or read at your favorite cafe.
I feel like I would take a book with me to a forest walk into the forest, find a cozy log to sit on, and then read my book for a while.
I like
Is
the
that
way you think.
yeah? So I'm like, I would love to read, but I'd much rather read in the middle of a forest than in a cafe. You know?
Yeah, I
Living my best princess life over here.
might have read in a cafe like once, maybe, but I read outside all the time.
Yep.
And yeah, we have some nice, like, local nature walks and stuff. I love being out in nature, even though my allergies do not love me being out in nature.
There you go.
But I suffer. Suffer through it.
Suffer for the vibe,
For the yeah,
Shanine.
you gotta do it for the
Suffer
gram.
for the vibe.
I think I'm on go on a forest walk. It's definitely been a bit since I've like done any hiking because Texas, but I feel like I enjoy a nice fall forest walk. Then, kind of like Shanine was saying, like I'm not a big reading in the cafe person. I would do it a lot when I was a minister, mostly to just get out of the building and just like go somewhere. So I would like go read. But yeah, just like in my day to day, like that's not really where I go unless Deanna's doing something. Then I'll go hang out at Starbucks and read for book club. But
Yeah.
I just don't. That's not really like the vibe I'm in. Although we will do like reading at home and put on like chill, like cafe vibe like playlists on YouTube.
Yeah.
But like the actual like going to the cafe, I feel like it's just like a lot of work, and then it's loud, and like, what are you gonna do? In chat, Deanna says hammock in the forest with a book.
Yeah.
That's a great choice.
I do have one of those transportable hammock things that I carry around with me on occasion. Worth it.
Worth it. Then last one on this or that. Go out for Halloween or stay in and watch movies.
I like to go out / like, I mean, that in the context of Halloween can mean like trick-or-treating or whatever. But like, I like to, dress up and go to a party or something. Have fun.
Yeah, I do love dressing up and going out.
I want people
But
to
it
see all
is
the effort.
also gonna depend a little bit on the weather here.
Fair enough.
Sometimes it's nice to be out in, and sometimes it is not.
For me, I'm in the go out for Halloween camp. Now, like go out can be go have a game night with friends, but kind of in that like go out in the sense of like go be social for Halloween. A couple years ago, we did an escape room on Halloween with some friends. Like that was a ton of fun. Like I said, we've done game nights, done that kind of stuff, and so I'm a big fan of just like going out, and even if you don't dress up, just go hang out and observe. Okay, there might be some repeats on the second this or that. So just as a call out, we'll skip them if there's repeats. So, oh, and chat. If you're not playing along, or watchers over on YouTube, let us know. What do you think of this, or that? And we'll try to put this on our social media as well. So if people want to play along and make their own, they can do so. Okay, next one. Apple pie or pumpkin pie?
I really like pumpkin pie.
Apple pie. Easy. I've been meaning to try pumpkin pie again just to see if I like it now, but when I have had it in the past, it is a no-go for me.
Okay. I asked for no reason whatsoever. Oh, go ahead, Emma.
The additional question there is with or without vanilla ice cream for either one. So,
with if it's warm pie.
Yeah, I'm with if it's apple pie. And I was going to ask for Shanine, having not liked pumpkin pie, how much whipped cream did you have with it? Because the answer is not enough.
Whipped cream makes everything better.
So, I'm on team pumpkin pie. With my birthday being around Thanksgiving, I feel like pumpkin pie is just something that like I associate with my birthday. Like I typically would not have like an actual cake. I would have pumpkin pie and stuff like that. There have been times before where I was hanging out with friends post Thanksgiving and I just brought a pumpkin pie with me and just ate it out of the thing. Like we did not slice the pie. We just like scooped it out and ate it. Like
I love that.
And so definitely a lot of like that kind of vibe and memories for it. And so so slightly different. We got sweater versus cardigan.
Honestly, I don't wear either. I mean, I will occasionally wear a sweater, so I guess sweaters, but I have like one sweater and one cardigan type thing, but I just don't wear them. They're not my vibe, unlike the flannels.
You wear a lot of cardigans. Probably cardigans.
Based on scoreboard, I'm a sweater person. I do own a cardigan because I think last year for fall, I was like, I might try wearing cardigans. And I have literally never worn it. So this fall, my goal is to actually wear the cardigan.
Do it.
Next, we have a hayride or corn maze.
Corn maze.
Feel like I would have said hayride in the past just because I love horses. But I feel like hay might kill me this time.
Oh.
This fall.
Allergies?
The allergies, they came out of nowhere. So corn maze.
For me, I'm corn maze. Can you tell that my answers are almost always the like I want to be up doing something answers? And so I like corn mazes because like, hey, you just get to walk around. Kind of like what Emma said earlier. When I was in New England, there was a like local farm that every year did multiple corn mazes. And so we would always go as a youth group, and they actually just went, and I saw their pictures on Instagram. So I was super jealous that I was not going with them. But yeah, we would go every year, and it was always a ton of fun. And yeah, you get to be up and walking around. Deanna says in chat, you can socialize in a corn maze versus like just sitting in a hayride. That being said, I also don't think I've ever seen like a hayride with an actual horse. It's like always tractors. So that's probably also a contributing factor. Next, we got Halloween versus Thanksgiving.
Halloween. For sure.
Yeah, this is a hard one for me because I associate my birthday with Thanksgiving. which both adds positive to it and adds a lot of baggage to it. And so I think for this, I will say I'll still go with Thanksgiving. The getting out of school thing was always such a big part of that. But yeah, hard to say. Next one, we had a similar one to this before, but pumpkin spice versus cinnamon.
Like,
I mean,
50% of pumpkin spice is cinnamon.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I mean, also just in general, I'm a hardcore cinnamon person. I've never really been a big fan of the pumpkin spice whatever, because if I feel like if I'm gonna eat something that's pumpkin, I'm gonna eat pumpkin pie, you know.
For me, if it's large quantities, I'm pumpkin spice. I feel like cinnamon is the thing that I really like, and then I eat like 2 or 3 bites, and I'm like, I'm good now. And so, but yeah, if it's a big thing, pumpkin spice. Next, this one was kind of weird. Movies or books? I guess like cozy up at home in the fall and watch a movie or read a book is what they're going for.
I mean, I feel like my chosen career path says a lot about where I'm gonna go here, given that I'm in the film industry. But I do also really like to read. I mean, if I weren't in school, I would say reading, because like curling up at home and reading with a cup of tea sounds really nice. But I'm in school and I'm already doing so much thinking that I'm like, I would rather sit down and watch a movie, despite the fact that I'm in school to learn how to make movies. Because then if I'm watching a movie, I get to also play video games, which means that I get to space out. So it could go either way.
Shanine, what do you think?
Both.
I don't know. I'm happy with both. I feel like my brand requires me to say book, but
The internet persona strikes again.
Wah wah.
For me, movies. That's definitely that's like my default. I notoriously only read for book club, and so so here we are. Always wish I would read more, but like here we are. And so, and then last one, scary movies or haunted house.
I mean, I feel like they each offer their own thing. If it's a good haunted house, then haunted house. But I feel like I could just sit down and do any movie, haunted or horror movie. So it would have to be a good haunted house for me to do the haunted house. Because I'm paying money to go through that. Has to be good. Movie.
I'm also gonna say movie.
For me, if I had to choose between a scary movie and a haunted house, my choice would be that we move on to the next question. So, and so these are some that were added by Emma, I believe. And so, for cozy fall, or I guess spooky fall, are you pro fire in the fireplace or are you a candles person?
I personally go for the candles. Mostly because I don't have a fireplace. But if I had a fireplace, I would do a fire in the fireplace.
Yeah, our fireplace is built poorly and like doesn't vent. So
That does seem bad.
been having fires, but I do like candles, and they smell pretty.
I feel like this is another classic Where's Cameron Living? Like New England, fire in the fireplace every time. But here in Texas, it makes the apartment way too hot. Can't be having that. It's still like 85 outside. Like, we can't have any of that fire. And so for that, definitely candles. Deanna goes and picks out really cool scents, and so we got all of our fall scents going on right now. Then next, I think this is a vibe check: pumpkins or leaves.
I like to shuffle through leaves.
Leaves.
I like leaves when they're on the trees. It's once they're on the ground that's then the like, what do we have to do with these? You got to clean it up, you got to rake them up, you got to do all of that. Not about that. But yes, I guess like for that, I would say pumpkins. That's kind of the vibe. Okay. Those are our fall this or that's. Let's take a look then at some of the more spooky side of Halloween. Who is your favorite classic scary monster?
I feel like Frankenstein's monster is a pretty solid. If you want to be technical, there, Frankenstein was the guy. The monster was never given a name, but I feel like that's a pretty classic first sort of horror monster.
Maybe Dracula.
Why?
Love a good vampire. I
Good
don't know.
vampire though. Just not these random flaky millennials that sparkle in the sun.
Oh, we'll get there. That's one of the questions we got.
Good old Transylvania vampire.
I think in theory, my answer here is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But like practically, I think it's Dracula. Like, I just feel like I like the idea of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde a lot more than I actually like the character. And yeah.
Great execution, okay, or great idea, okay,
Yes.
execution.
Right. Not to get all Marvel, but like I think it's the reason that like Hulk is better as a side character. Like, it's the like, yeah, you just kind of got your thing. This is what it is. Now give me Smart Hulk so we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then so how do you feel that your favorite classic monster is handled in modern media? It can either be the specific like Dracula in specific, or vampires, or how do you feel like they have like translated into modern fiction?
I mean, Frankenstein's monster is so specific that you don't see a lot of variations on it these days, unless you want to consider something like the Hulk to be a variation of that, but it's really not. In terms of vampires, there's a lot of different interpretations of those. Sparkly millennials, for one. Just not a fan of the Twilight vampires. They don't make sense.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna say recently, it's probably been like 10 years. There's been like some recent Dracula movies and things like that, which I have always been meaning to watch and never have. So That I don't know about. But as for vampires and things, I don't know. They're going so many different directions. Like you've got Twilight, which is Twilight, but you also have things like What We Do in the Shadows, which is hilarious and I love it. And the vampires are so good. I think it's funny how they're kind of stuck in their era and yeah, I don't know. They're funny.
One of my favorite things I've seen recently is um, what if an Italian got turned into a vampire and they just spend all of their time getting upset because they can't eat garlic?
Um, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Um, like Shanine was saying, I feel like for vampires, one of the best things is that it's like diverse. It's kind of the idea that's like, hey, this is like a lot of people like this, and so there's a lot of it, and so you have your What We Do in the Shadows version that's way more on the the fish out of water, like ancient beings, like what would they actually be like if they had lived for hundreds of years, and now it's funny because they're so out of place. But then you also got like your more like serious versions, like anytime a vampire shows up in like a video game or something like that, an RPG, like it's going to be serious. This is a big deal, and so yeah, I feel like there's a lot that you can do with that type of character, and so it's kind of interesting to see those different interpretations and how they can bring them out. Also, as we get ready for Blade coming back to the MCU, as I've seen no Blade things ever, but we'll get there eventually and watch those. So, yeah, I think vampires are pretty exciting. And then, yeah, the question that I referenced earlier, vampires or werewolves? If you had, and we can do this, what's your favorite? And then if you had to be one, which one would you want to be?
If I had to be one, I'd want to be a werewolf because that's like a once a month. It's kind of like Lupin from Harry Potter. Like it's a once a month. Like you can kind of work around it a bit more. Plus, you get to turn into a giant doggy. Um, Favorite one. I mean, I just think of Lupin from Harry Potter and vampires.
Oh yeah, I was meaning more in terms of like the favorite of the two.
Oh,
If like the one you wanted to be wasn't the one that was your favorite. But if you got a favorite vampire, go for it.
I mean, I feel like vampires allow more for storytelling, so I would say vampires, but I'd rather be a werewolf.
I think I'm in the same boat. Um, I think vampires are more interesting, but it also seems way more inconvenient. Um, like you're basically having to change the way you live your whole life. Um, because like you can't, especially like if you're the real kind of vampire that like can't go out in the sunlight, have to be invited in places, like can't eat certain things. Like whereas I feel like werewolf is like, yeah, I sometimes turn into a wolf. Here we go.
Yeah.
You just got to do what you got to do.
I can stick myself in the middle of the forest somewhere,
Right. I feel like you can plan around it.
My monthly camping trip.
Yes.
Yeah, same. I like vampires, but a werewolf seems easier to be.
Next, and this is kind of the mix between spooky and cozy, but when you make a jack-o'-lantern, do you do the classic designs or do you try to do something fancy? And if you do something fancy, what do you like to do?
I like to do fancy stuff. I've done like the TARDIS and other random nerdy stuff like that in the past. with all the fun stencils. More often than not done fancy stuff over classic face. But I will default to a face if I'm not feeling it.
I think I've carved 2 pumpkins in my life.
That
and it
shocks
was
me.
one of each.
Yeah.
I
I find
okay,
that surprising.
I've got the whole spooky vibe now, but it was not a thing in my house growing up. So I'm a very new to all that kind of stuff in my life. So, yes, I've carved 2 pumpkins. I think at this point I've decided they are a lot more work than they are worth. So, I like looking at other people's pumpkins. But I like the fancy designs because they're cool.
See, carving a pumpkin just feels so much like an October Halloween tradition to me. I love it. 'Cause then, like, I carve it, I get to decorate with it, and then I get to roast the seeds and eat them for the next, like, 8 months. It's not actually that long, it's more like 3 months until I throw them out because I get so sick and tired of them. But you get the pumpkin and you get roasted pumpkin seeds, and it's so nice.
Sheen, I feel like if you would have told me you've carved 2 pumpkins this week, I would have believed you. uh,
Oh.
but I feel like I'm in the kind of the same boat of if I like personally had to do it, it's like if I had to freehand it, it's classic, and you're barely getting a good looking pumpkin. We've done some stuff over the years. Like we did, I think we did Gengar one year. We did the Witcher, um, like symbol, emphasis on we, meaning Deanna. um, but yeah, I kind of in general fall into the camp of they're more effort than it's worth. And so I just feel like it's very hard to like, because like if you do it too early in the season, it started to go bad by the time it's actually Halloween. But then it's like if you're trying to do it like right before Halloween, there's other stuff going on.
Here's the thing. You go out early to get the pumpkin. You let it sit on you decorate with it on your porch for that first half of the month or whatever because it won't go bad. And then you can carve it in like the 3-day period before Halloween and have it still be good. I'm all for carving pumpkins. I love it, obviously. So
It's okay. Deanna is offended by my statements. So
I think I'm gonna
you,
paint
you
my
get me,
pumpkin.
Deanna. Like
pumpkins are works of art. Did you say you're
we
gonna
are.
paint them?
I'm gonna paint my pumpkin this year, I think. Then I still get a. I have already bought my pumpkin. Actually, it's sitting on my counter. But I get the pumpkin and I get to make it look cute. But I don't have to like work so hard at it.
So one of the this or that's that I found asked painting pumpkins versus carving pumpkins as like one of the questions, and I was like, I don't know anyone that paints pumpkins. Like I
I've
feel like
seen like it's very uncommon, but I've seen it here and there before.
yeah, like I think that that's a great idea. Then you don't have to deal with the goo.
Oh, I love dealing with the goo.
Not a fan.
I love
Not
it.
a fan.
I love it. I am so for carving pumpkins. It is one of like it makes me so happy. Turns me into a kid again, you guys.
Okay. Second to last question. Do you have any spooky plans for this season?
About to finish my costume, and a couple of my friends and I are planning on going to Universal Horror Nights. So excited. Can't wait to go back for all the spooks. And of course, the haunted houses, mazes, are guaranteed to be good because it's Universal. Went last year, and it was the best time. Very much looking forward to it.
mean, I have so many plans. I I feel like my costume is not going to be done for Halloween, but I have a lot of cute animal onesies. So, I have a costume to fall back on. Um, I'm going to hand out candy for the first time ever.
Nice.
I'm very excited. I have all those books that I bought that I'm planning on reading. Um,
If your animal onesies have pockets, you can like put them in your pouch in the onesie, and then now you have books. Just saying.
um, gonna be going and seeing Halloween Ends in theaters, obviously. Um, Thinking about watching some more classic spooky movies because I have not seen any of them, and I feel like I need to catch up. Um, we have this big carved pumpkin like event in our city. There's like over 1,000 pumpkins or something like that people have hand carved. So I want to go see that because that sounds super cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
And I'm thinking about doing a ghost tour.
Ooh,
Nice.
those are fun.
Um, for me, nope. No
No
spooky
plans.
plans.
No spooky plans.
Um, and so I don't know if we have plans for Halloween yet. We are gonna go watch Hocus Pocus 2 with some friends,
Nice.
but I don't think we have any other like anything else like specifically planned out yet. And so we'll probably need to find some sort of costume or something like that if we are gonna do something Halloween this year. But yeah, I don't think we have anything too serious. We'll probably end up going to like all the stores and looking at all the spooky fall stuff and start trying to
As one does.
yeah, as one does.
As one
And
does.
so we'll go and hit up Party City or not Party Cities, Spirit Halloweens that live in the corpse of other stores. And so we'll go and do that and check out. We've already been to one. I assume we'll be going to more because it's always fun to go look at all the stuff. Um, yeah. Then our last question that I don't know who added this. I'm guessing Janine, but the question is, what spooky thing have you noped out of the hardest in the past? Okay. I have one, and I can kick us off with this. I don't know if you had something crazy, Janine, since this was likely your question, but okay. So when I was an youth intern, it was like our last night before before like our internship ended, and where I was, there was like this old abandoned like not like hospital in the sense of like it was one building, but like this like it was like multiple buildings that like used to be a hospital. And so it was kind of this like spooky thing to go and explore. And so we hadn't done that all summer. And so we as interns were going to all go our last night and kind of have that be our going away thing. And then the night before we were going to go, it caught on fire.
Ooh.
And I was like Googling and like it like burnt like 90 acres of land. So I took that as a sign and noped out of anything having to do with that. That was
It's
good.
a sign.
Yeah, that was good enough for me. Not about that.
Not about that life. I I mean, nothing is really coming to mind. I didn't really do the first haunted house I ever did was actually like 3 years ago. No, the first haunted house I did was my senior year of college, so 2018. But it wasn't very good because it was one put on by the freshmen at our college, so it was like, I mean, it wasn't very good for a reason because they were 18-year-olds who were on a very tight budget, so it was just like, eh. It was more just fun to see what they did. So then technically the first real haunted house I did was like 3 years ago, and I enjoyed it. But I mean, I just the one thing that comes to mind was I was at like a youth camp, a Young Life youth camp at one point in eighth or ninth grade, and we were doing like a nighttime game. Basically, the camp I was at in Oregon had like a huge like open grass field, and we were playing a game in it, and someone came up behind me and scared me, and I burst into tears as like an eighth or ninth grader. But it wasn't like something that was like set up or designed to be spooky. It was just like a good old, you know, teenagers having fun thing, and it scared me. But that's the only thing that really comes to mind.
All right, I have two stories. So my friends who initially started getting me into spooky things, we were playing Amnesia together.
Oh,
Um, and it is spooky. When that monster starts coming for you, it's pretty terrifying. Um, we decided to call him Carl so that we had someone to yell at when we were getting too scared and we could tell him to go away. But also, sometimes it would just get to be too much and we would collectively nope out and just like quit the game and watch animal videos on YouTube because it was
have
too much.
you seen llamas with hats
I don't think so.
on YouTube? Oh my gosh. Okay. It's so hilarious, but one of the characters is named Carl. They're both llamas and hats. Carl makes some highly questionable decisions throughout the course of these cartoons. So much so that one of the lines in these cartoons coined the phrase, Carl, that kills people. So every time I hear the name Carl, I just think of that line from this very stupid early YouTube animation series.
I mean, applicable to our
I know.
playing of Amnesia. It does kill people.
Exactly.
We would also watch reaction videos of other people playing of Amnesia, and that is also funny.
Yeah.
But the hardest nope I have had is we have in my city a haunted house called Deadmonton. And the first time I went was so scary. So you wait in line and it kind of like zigzags through the foyer, but there's still like everything's like a set. So it's all like decorated in there and stuff too, and they have actors coming through while you're in line as well.
They're
And
doing their crowd work.
Nope.
yeah. And so my group is just like standing around talking, and suddenly I see something like coming from behind me, and I like leapt into my friend's arms, and he's like, "Didn't you know they were there?" I was like, "No, it was this horribly terrifying monster, this actor dressed up." And oh my goodness, I was so scared.
Yep.
It was terrifying.
That's a nope from me.
Like I've never been so scared that my body involuntarily like leaps away. Yeah, it was a lot.
I've never been that scared either.
Intentionally on
Yes.
Cameron's part.
Yes. I feel like I would not go to something called Deadmonton. And so,
See, the first time was so scary, and then the second time was that like really bad haunted house where we're like, oh, there's gonna be a thing coming out. There it is. So I don't
Oh,
know.
look, it showed up.
But yep.
listeners, let us know the biggest thing that you've ever noped out of because you were scared. And let us know what like your general fall plans are. You got anything spooky? You got anything cozy? What do you got going on? That's going to wrap up episode 221. Some announcements for some upcoming stuff. Any streams planned for this week?
As always, I'm a bit up in the air for Thursday.
I will be back on Saturday morning, probably finishing up Beacon Pines.
Nice. seemed super. It was like, it was very cute, and then it kind of escalated, and so
Does it
Well, that
escalated
escalated
very
quickly.
fast,
yes,
but still in a cute way.
yes. And then I may be able to. I'm not 100% sure if we have some this weekend, but always up for some Fall Guys if people wanted to play. But yeah, and then we are in a new month. You can go and check out our September book club over on our YouTube, where we talked about Baron and Luthien. And our next book club will be on October 27th. We are reading The Atrocities by Jeremy Shipp. And so, yeah, can go pick that up. I think mine was supposed to be delivered yesterday. It has been delayed. And
Wah.
yeah, and so I'm trying to decide if this is a sign or not. But here we are. So, yep. And then we will be back next week, probably with some more spooky talk as we stay in this season. And so, with that, you can find us on our social media as OneGeek411. You can join our Discord server if you want to chat between shows. Shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. Check out our Redbubble store and watch live on Twitch, 6:45 Mountain Time, and watch the videos over on YouTube. And then you can also find us over on our personal social medias. Mine is Humar Whittle.
Mine is I am not prepared with an eye.
I'm the Hoot and Howl on Twitter and Hoot and Howl Tales, TALES, on Instagram.
And it's been a great week.
Carve a pumpkin.
Read a book.